Okay, we're live. I think we have all established that our hair looks okay, and
Yep.
we're ready to go for today's Masterclass Wednesdays with SampleServe. Thank you guys for taking the time out of your day and joining us. If you guys find this video helpful or helpful to any of your friends or colleagues, send this along to them and make sure that if you guys got any questions or comments, put it in the chat and we'll get to it during the show. And also, even after this is over, you can still write a comment and we can get to it too. I'm going to introduce Paul Goodrow of Enron Partners and Russell Schindler, CEO of SampleServe. Both have been in the environmental services industry for quite a long time. I'm not going to say how long. They don't like it when I say exactly how long anymore. So, Paul, I'm going to let you get it started. Give us a little intro on what we're doing today.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everybody, for attending. We certainly appreciate it. We know taking 45 minutes, half an hour, even 20 minutes is hard to do in today's fast-paced world. So thanks for joining us. Really, the goal of today, as every Wednesday, is really share with you some tips on how you can utilize a SampleServe product, and not only to make the work more efficient, more effective, and service your clients, but also to make you more effective. You know, we're a true believer in advancing digital solutions, not just from a competitive standpoint, but also from an employee satisfaction standpoint. So we hope that these tools, whether it's SampleServe or other digital solutions, can help you be more effective in your role. You know, what I wanted to do, Russell, is I know you just sent a post out, didn't you, today regarding build and buy, build or buy?
Build versus buy, yep.
Build versus buy. And I wanted to just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes to talk about that, because something that we run into all the time, and I have a certain opinion about it. As I've come out of the consulting industry and really gotten involved with SampleServe and more digital solutions, and the build buy concept, build or buy, build versus buy concept is really one of the most challenging things for us as a software solutions provider to communicate, to challenge, to really build understanding with our clients on the best approach. And there are numerous ways of integrating digital solutions into your services that you perform for your customers. I think that the best approach is to partner. So it's kind of between build and buy, in the sense that you're building it with a partner and you're buying it from a partner. And the partner, like SampleServe, can customize a solution to fit your business model and your business needs. One thing I hate to see, and it primarily happens in the consulting engineering field, but that's the lack of if that's a word, kind of the laissez-faire attitude that some solutions take in their own company, meaning that the company doesn't really support the development of these solutions, and they sit at generation 3 or 4 when they should be at generation 10 or 12, meaning that they're not investing in that because they have other areas of investment, whether it's employee training or new facilities or new hires or executive leadership training or strategy development, whatever it might be. The consulting engineering field really isn't the place to birth and develop digital solutions, in my opinion. And so partnering with a digital solution provider, whether it's SampleServe or others, really provides you the quickest to market. And really, if you find a partner that will help you develop it, will also make it fit for purpose for your solution. So that's my spin on it, Russell. You had a great article on it today on LinkedIn. I don't know if you want to share some of your thoughts on build versus buy.
Yeah, it's one of the, it's very frequent when I talk to a consulting engineering company or even some other labs or, anyone in the environmental industry, and they'll tell me like, hey, yeah, we have our own app. As a matter of fact, I had one this morning with a worldwide lab, and they're like, yeah, we have our own app, and but no one's ever heard of it and no one's ever used it. But they keep trying to push it. And as you mentioned, it's like the early version hasn't worked, but they don't want to spend any more money on it. But they kind of still, think about it that way. It's like, oh, we've got our own, but no one uses it. And so I just hear that all the time. And, so the question I ask people is like, well, you do accounting, right? Yeah. I mean, you've got an accounting department. Do you build your own app there? And when you build your own accounting software? And they're like, no, we hire it or buy it. There's license it. So it's just kind of the same thing. If you're trying to collect, samples and you're not a software expert, it might be better to just go to a software company and like SampleServe, or, it applies to a lot of things,
Yeah.
So that's really kind of the argument that I have is like, don't do what you're not, in business to do.
Yeah. It's not a core business. I mean, Russell, we have one company now, an architect or a consulting engineering company and architects, probably 6,000 person firm. And there's 2 people in the organization that have built their version of what we do.
Yeah.
And those 2 people out of 6,000 are holding up the deployment of a far superior product that will address not only their clients' needs, but their internal needs far better.
Correct.
And, it's just hard to see that when you're providing a much better solution, but it isn't being recognized for whatever reasons, not really based on the technology itself, but based on, people's territories. And I guess the message is don't let it happen to you. If you're listening, you're a user, don't be one of those people. Well, you need a good digital service partner that will help you develop it to fit your business needs.
Yeah, and really, Paul, the most interesting thing to me is that we actually offer our project management tool or field app and even the lab integration at no cost. So it's like, it's not a cost factor, it's more of an ego factor. So
sometimes it is, yeah.
All right. Well, I had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry, guys.
Guys.
You struck a nerve today, Russell.
You helped get it off my chest too.
talking about the free lab. Let's move on to the free lab app that Russell mentioned. We're going to cover today about lab integration levels. So SampleServe has their own dedicated lab app for laboratories to receive samples, and Russell's going to go over the different levels that laboratories can use it. Let me let you take over your screen there.
Right. So let me know when you got my screen up.
You're up and ready.
Okay. So as Paul was talking about, we do these partnerships, right? We can partner with laboratories as well as consulting engineering companies. And we have several different levels of integration with a laboratory. It's always one of the first questions is like, how big is this? How easy is it? What's it going to take? Anyway, we've got basically 4 levels of integration. The first one is just a basic integration. You're actually going to create an account. You're going to put your lab's menu on that account, like what analytical parameters you have. Uploading data from the field back to your lab is going to be the same as it's always been. You're going to type it in off of a paper COC. And this is just the basic stuff, the basic integration. When you upload data back, you can actually just ship a flat file, a CSV file, and it's a drag and drop. You can do it yourself or just email it to the client like you've always done it, and they can upload it. It's very simple. It's a drag and drop of a CSV file. And then the integration level, the involvement from your IT department is literally very, very minimal IT involvement. They may want to look at things just to make sure there's no security issues, which there aren't. And then the timeline, it literally takes your lab 1 to 2 days. In the last week, I think we've had 3 labs kind of go to this basic integration where they just log in and put their menu in the last week, about 3 different labs. And then there's no cost, right? So there's no cost. So the second one is a partial integration, and it really is kind of the same thing. You're going to create your menu. You're going to also be able to receive notifications because you're going to actually use the lab login app that we have. And you're going to be able to receive samples with that lab login app. It's a very simple process. You can teach anybody how to use it in about 20 to 30 minutes. And then there's a JSON file that can be uploaded into your lab system. It's just a drag and drop JSON file. We can also make that a CSV file if your LIMS system handles that. And then getting the data back out is that same thing, drag and drop. It's all manual uploads and downloads back to the SampleServe, same flat file. Integration, again, very low IT involvement. The timeline's about 7 days to get this going, because there's going to be some training and inviting people, that kind of stuff. And again, no charge. Then there's the full integrations. We're doing the same thing, only this time we're going to be using APIs. And that's where your lab's computer talks to our app. And so there's an API. And so the data into the LIMS system from the samples being collected and the lab data back is all handled automatically with computers. So computer to computer talking, that's what an API is. There is going to be some IT involvement on the lab side, right? They're going to have an API. If they don't have one, they got to build one. And that's going to be 30 to 60 days to get that thing integrated. And again, no cost from us. I mean, there's going to be a cost for you to build your API if you don't already have one. And then the final version, the biggest version, which is becoming popular now, is the white label app, where your lab actually has its own app, our app, but we create a copy of it and we put it on the Play stores, and your lab then can offer that to its customers as its own app. It communicates directly with the lab, obviously with an API. So you're going to offer it. It's going to really help your lab go after the big contracts where you're doing big projects for big clients, and you go, hey, we're going to really streamline your whole process, either with a consulting firm or maybe it's the end client, oil company or something like that, or maybe it's a municipal utility or anything like that. Any big people who want to really just move a lot of samples and move a lot of data, this white label app is really going to be a good solution for your laboratory. And again, high IT involvement. It's going to be 30 to 60 days again. And there is going to be a charge. If you're going to have your own app, you're going to have an app on the Play Store. So, and each Play Store, Google or Apple is going to charge you about $200 a year to have an app in there. So, so there's a little bit of a charge, but compared to what you're getting in value. And then our involvement is that all the reporting gets pushed to us, and we make money off the reporting. You facilitate the sample collection and get more samples in your laboratory, and reduce your costs in terms of data management. So that's it.
So as opposed to, as labs are taking in, coolers full of samples right now, they're receiving them, they're logging them in on paper and everything. And if they had the QR code that is printed in the field with the SampleServe field app, and they're just retrieving everything, the custody seal has a QR code on it, how much time do you think they're saving when they're taking in those samples with our app?
About 90% of their time saved. So it takes 10% of the time versus manual data entry. And you're not worried about typos, that kind of thing. So it's a significant improvement.
Like one other variation of this, Russell, maybe it's in this white label app, but there are labs have LIMS, lab information management systems that are deployed throughout their organization. Some have one, some have many, depending on the size, magnitude of the organization. But we can certainly integrate with those internal systems as well.
Yep.
So that we're providing not just the field data, but marrying that with the laboratory analytical data that they're already producing. Yeah. And obviously sending it to either clients or to our cloud and allowing people to use the data for reporting. So, that's another thing where LIMS are integral to labs, and we've worked with several, and we'll continue to work with them to integrate our solution with theirs.
Yep. And a lot of people worry that when they first get started, they say, "Hey, my lab isn't using SampleServe yet. Can we use SampleServe?" And the question is always, of course. We've built it so that the lab that you're using doesn't necessarily have to participate. You can still print everything that you need. You can still send them a digital chain of custody, even through email, and everything gets transferred just fine. But it is a lot easier for the lab when they do integrate with us. Does my lab participate, or can I continue to use my lab? Is literally one of the first questions we always get. Exactly. Okay, let's move it on to the next bit. We got a little tips and tricks on the field app. I'm just going to show you guys something that you can do with the field app. It's mostly on the fly, adding a sample on the fly. So let me pull up the field app here. So here is my desktop version of the field app. I have my list of projects here available. I'm going to go into the one that I have downloaded. It's downloaded because there's a little green arrow down there. And then at the bottom of all your sample locations right here is a little plus button. Now let's say we decided that we wanted to add a little sample location inside of our project. We just hit this plus button. Now we can select create new location. We can either be gauging or sampling. we can click sampling, and then suddenly our entire laboratory's library list of analytical tests show up, and we can pick one.
Yeah, and what I'll point out to you, Josh, is for the project that you're in, it's got the short list at the top.
Yeah.
And then, so it just kind of like makes it simple, like, here's what I'm already doing on this project. You can click that one, or down below are all the other tests associated with the lab that's been picked on this particular project. So,
right.
Really, rather than have to scroll through a whole list, if you've already got one or two parameters that you're doing, you can just create that short list at the top.
Yeah, so we just wanted to show that, if you're in the field, you're not stuck to the plan that was originally made in the project planning app. You can always, add more stuff. And I don't want to add one here because it's going to screw up this demo project, but you can always add GPS on that new sample location and everything, so that it integrates with your maps, and it makes it easy when you're creating reports. And so what do you think about that, Paul? You got anything to add?
Well, I mean, when I was in the field, we'd plan our best to find out all the locations, but then, maybe a next door neighbor wants their well sampled, or maybe there's a soil location that requires additional sampling, or maybe there's a monitoring well that you didn't sample the quarter before and you want to sample it this year. And so there's always these variations out in the field that, a solution like ours has to be responsive to. So it was a great opportunity, to really show that this is a flexible solution. Even though you can plan out your events in advance, you still run into stuff. S happens out in the field, right? So this allows people to pick up a sampling location and run with it. So it's a great feature and functionality.
And it's
where I've used it the most is when, and I don't do sampling anymore in the field, but when I was out in the field, I would, there, especially in the wintertime, there'd be a big pile of snow on top of a well that I just couldn't get to, right? It was a frozen pile of snow 8 feet high. And so I'd call the project manager and, I'd say, hey, is there a different well you want me to try? And they would sometimes tell me, yeah, well, let's go sample this one kind of close by. And then I would make that change in the field. So, I would hit the plus button, pull up the list of wells, or add a new one that maybe wasn't on there. And then I would be able to just go ahead and sample that.
So. Right. Another situation is like during a possible spill response where you don't know what you're going to sample or where or when,
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's keep going, Josh. You're slowing down on us. Come on.
Yeah. All right, me and Russell are going to show people about the different ways you can turn your generated reports into actual images, so you can place them into Word documents and PDF files and things like that. So Russell, you got a PDF file up there for it?
I do.
All right, you're live.
Okay, so I took a project from it's a PDF from a regular client, and I redacted everything, so you can't really tell where it is. But what you're going to do in order to turn this into an image because a lot of PDFs have multiple layers on them, so just uploading them directly as a PDF is problematic for our software, in that it doesn't necessarily know what layer you're looking for. So we have you turn it into a graphic, either a PNG or a JPEG file that can be uploaded. It's just a simple flat image. And the way you're going to do this is you're going to come over here into your PDF viewer. You may be using something other than Adobe, but if this is Adobe, there's some other PDF viewers out there, and everyone's going to be a little bit different. But all you're going to do is find your export PDF, and then you're just going to come down here and pick image. I'm going to just have PNG, and there may be multiple pages on there, but I'm just doing one page. And then you just hit export, and it's going to ask you, where you want that export to go. I've already said I want it in my documents folder, and it's going to then. I guess I didn't put it in my I'm going to put it in downloads. And then just say, there it is. It's saving it as a PNG. And now I can simply go find that JPEG or that PNG file and upload it back into our platform. And you can use that image now as a base map to put your data on top of. So it's taking a little bit longer. I think my bandwidth is being consumed by our meeting here. But so that PNG then will be available in my documents folder.
And this is also good knowledge for when you're generating reports in the report generator. They get produced, they upload as a PDF to begin with. Now, you can always add text to that PDF, but it's always easier just to export that map as a JPEG or a PNG. And now you can throw that map image anywhere you want it, let's say into a full report, like a Word document or something like that as well.
Yeah, some people they want to show the groundwater flow direction, but put a data box map on top of that, so you can generate your groundwater flow map, export that as a base map, as a PNG or a JPEG, and then put your data box map on top of that. So there's all kinds of ways to get creative about, using and creating graphics that tell the story, right? Because really that's the, picture's worth 1,000 words. If you want to show your groundwater flow, but also show your concentrations on top of that, it's just a good way to do that.
All right. I think that covers that pretty well. I think we have reached our 20-minute time limit. So, Paul, take us home. Tell us about some of our other products that we use, and tell us about how we get started on using any of these. I can cover that part. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we have really four digital solutions that we talk about. We've talked a lot about Sample ENV, which is really the core of the sampling, core solution to use in high volume, high frequency sampling. We've talked a lot about that. Today we talked a little bit about Sample Log, which is really that facilitation solution between the field data and analytical data, creating that connection with the laboratory, which is really brings our solutions full circle. And then there's two other ones. There's Sample H2O, which is really designed for low frequency and maybe a novice user sampling. It's really a digital solution that allows homeowners, building inspectors, labs, and others to really sample primarily potable water supplies, whether it's for PFAS or lead and arsenic or whatever you want to sample it for. It's just an easy way of collecting the sample input information on your phone and then receiving an electronic file for the results. And the last one is Sample SWR. And really, we've created that really in partnership with a company called Shield T3, which is a new business, which is launching to collect downstream water, sewer water, wastewater sampling from large institutions, whether they're municipalities, cities, counties, or educational facilities, to collect samples for infectious diseases such as COVID and other things. So that's a great example where Shield T3 had a sampling and analytical methodology, but they weren't a digital company. They turned to us. We converted some of our already developed functionality into a fit-for-purpose solution for them, and we continue to work with them to upgrade, develop the product so it's better integrated into their LIMS system and for a larger volume of work. So they really embrace the partnership model. We're very fortunate to have them as a customer and really enjoy working with them. So those are our four solutions. Again, my opinion, find a company like SampleServe, look for digital partners out there in the market, find the best product you can find, and then work with them to develop it to fit your business model and your needs. And we're here to help. So, Josh, how do we talk more about our products? How can people find out more information about what we do and how it works?
So if you're interested in any of our products and you're not already a current client, you can just go to our homepage. We got all of our digital solutions right on the second section here. We got Sample ENV for environmental professionals. You can see how it works here. You can schedule a demo or just go ahead and create an account. Everything's free right off the bat. The only time we're going to charge you is when you're creating new reports on new projects. And you also get a time frame where those reports are also free as well. Sample Log as well. If you're a lab that does a lot of environmental samples, schedule a demo with us. We'll show you how it's done. Same with Sample H2O. It's a lot of municipal labs are doing a lot of drinking water, and I know they're interested. And as well, wastewater testing is kind of a new media that people are getting into, and there's a lot of market share out there to gain. And if somebody's really interested in trying to get into that, we can help you facilitate digital sampling methods for that as well. So I think we're going to end it there on that. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you give a like, a share, and we'll be here next week for the next SampleServe Masterclass Wednesdays. And thank you, Russell. Thank you, Paul. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
See you
All
guys.
right.